We are live. I think maybe.
Let's find out.
Live. I think maybe.
Yeah, let me mute that.
There we go.
So we don't get a very confusing feedback into the audio.
Oh, is it coming through mine?
Don't mind, but that's all right.
All right. I'm putting the Hangout join in there. Hopefully somebody will watch. What?
Hail Sagan. Yes, Hail Sagan.
Hail Sagan! I don't know what to tell you, honey. I don't know.
Yes, Rhetoric to Discourse, it is an invite.
Yeah, anybody can join if they want. Obviously, I appropriately titled this so that people knew exactly what was going on tonight. So, all right. So David was telling me about how Puerto Rico is 100% without power. That really sucks right there. I mean, that's like before the internet, right?
Yeah, and not only that, from what I was just reading, let me look at it here. It says the person who posted is a close friend of mine. They said that they're 100% without light. The Emergency Management Antenna and NOAA and WS National Hurricane Center have collapsed.
Oh wow!
And some cell towers have fallen, and many array stations are off the air. So, like, the entire territory is just, they're hosed, basically.
Yeah, you know, they were pretty bad off to begin with. I mean, you know, the country was like in debt and everything.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yes, the whole island. So
yeah, if anybody in the chat wants to join, please go ahead and join. Rhetoric.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Good. How you doing?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, KC's there.
KC.
What's up? It'll probably create an echo.
It does a little bit.
Since we're in the same room.
It's a little bit of an echo. Not too bad.
But yeah, so I just kind of figured earlier this week a lot of people were wanting to join up when I was doing a live thing, and so I figured I would let you know, just do a short little hangout depending on how many people we got. You know, not talking about anything in particular, just kind of hanging out, chilling. There is a couple things we could talk about. Apparently, Gwyneth Paltrow is selling psychic vampire repellent spray.
Oh no!
Is that for real?
Yes, it is. It is totally. You can buy it for $30. Protect yourself from psychic vampires.
Oh geez.
Oh geez.
My ex-wife, she had a sister that totes believed in like psychic vampires, and like she had went to parties and whatnot, and apparently you could really feel the psychic waves coming out of the speakers as he was playing EDM music.
So $30 and all your brain cells, is that what the article says? I believe.
I probably that sounds about right. Let's see, for the low price of 30 American bucks, you too can be a slayer of vampires. Well, psychic vampires at least. Can you imagine that? It's like you go to McDonald's and it's like, oh god, I'm being zapped of all my psychic energy. Hold on, let me get a Big Mac. I really need to recharge this psychic vibe with Big Macs. Give me a Big Mac.
I feel like now that this is on sale, I should randomly faint around people and pretend like it's hurting me, just to see who I get, just like randomly, like, oh no, the psychic vampire repellent, it's killing me.
Yeah, that would be good for one of those prank channels. Just like, all right, we're gonna go into this McDonald's and we're gonna collapse on the floor and be like, it's psychic vampires. Just what everybody says.
Either that or when
Then have
somebody
somebody
does
run in.
collapse, or when somebody does
Yeah,
collapse, say, I just sapped it.
have just somebody run in with this spray and be like, "I got you, bro," and then just leave like nothing happened.
Oh goodness. Yeah, I have an uncle. My uncle is he's very religious, and two, he really buys into any pseudoscience-y metaphysical nonsense. Like any and all of it, he buys into it. So there's like he legit has garlic hanging around for vampires.
Does he put salt on the windows and stuff too?
Pretty sure he does. Like so, he lives out in this farm, like out in the middle of nowhere, right? And like at night, because like he's out in the middle of nowhere, at night you have like coyotes and shit like flirting about and stuff, and you find like dead animals all the time, right? So anytime like there's a dead animal or like anything rustling, he freaks the fuck out and thinks it's a vampire is like trying to get him. It's insane.
I don't know. See, I'd be tempted to like play some tricks on him. I guess maybe like just get a black cat and like have it walk in front. Or like, is he that superstitious, or is it just the psychic vampires?
I think it might just be the psychic vampires.
Okay.
I think it might just be the psychic vampires. But he's got like crucifixes and garlic, and he's just got a bunch of weird shit. He's a weird one. And he likes to give my little sister a hard time because my little sister is like very much an open atheist, and he's very like down to earth Catholic. So he gives her like such a hard time all day long. Like gives her pamphlets about Jesus and stuff. And I'm glad I don't live in that house anymore.
You gotta love that. Like, what's the purpose in the pamphlets? Like, especially like in America. Like, I guess I get it. Like, if you're in like a third world country and you're trying to trick the local population, but like here in America, it's like, here's a pamphlet on Jesus. I don't think you've heard of this cat yet. He's pretty fucking cool. Raised from the dead, you know.
It really is like this big. I think they really do buy into like the Christian majority in this country really does buy into this idea that they're the minority and that they like nobody has ever heard of them before.
Well, yeah, I don't understand that either. Like they legit do think that they are the minority, but at the same time, it's like, oh well, you know, like 65% of America is Christian. We've got to reach that other part because they just have not heard of Jesus Christ yet.
No. So for my job, I go into people's homes. I'm a therapist. So I go into people's homes, and one day I go in to work with this kid, and the older sister of this kid comes over to me and legit hands me a Ray Comfort track. Like with that, like, are you a good person test on it? And I couldn't.
Goodness.
Oh, I had to hold in the laugh and just be like, thank you, little girl who I can't tell you how I feel about all this because I'm in your home having to work. Oh.
That's crazy. Yeah, I remember one time I took my son to a park, and there were a couple of religious people there, like at the kids' park, I guess, waiting to get the parents as they walk in or something like that. Mm-hmm. I stood there and talked to them for about 30 minutes about how ridiculous their whole faith is.
See, I don't have the courage for that yet. I mean, I've legit. I mean, I live in the South too. I live in St. Petersburg, Florida, and so you could probably back me up on this. There's a lot of proselytizing that goes on in the South in general.
Oh, yes.
Door to door and in, like you said, in the park, bus stops all over the place. And there's this particular bus stop up the street from me here, and it's like a super stop. A bunch of buses go there, and you make your connections to other buses there. And there's always Jehovah's Witnesses there, and they're always sitting in the shadiest bench, of course, which is where you want to sit. So if you want to sit there, you have to listen to their BS, and you have to pick up at least one or two of their pamphlets. So I mean, I just don't talk to them. I can't deal with that. And I have yet to actually, without getting angry, like saying, hey, what are you doing here? And you realize this is, for people who are riding the bus. Well, and they would counter that it's public land, and they're perfectly right. It is public land. It is the sidewalk, and I can't really say they can't be there, but at the same time, it's kind of rude to take it up from, especially in the heat, to take it from people who are riding the bus and don't have air conditioning when they're not on the bus. So it's just, I think it's kind of a douche move to do that.
I don't know. I always love talking to those folks. My wife hates it when I do, though. Like we were in Denver like a year ago, and there was like a legit street preacher, like, hell and fire, you're all gonna burn. And I stopped, and my wife just grabbed me. Is like, no, we're not doing this. Like we're not gonna sit here and talk to this crazy person today.
But they're so much fun to deal with.
They are. They're the best. I love it. We had a couple of Mormons like come over to her house once, like back when we were dating. They door to door preaching, and I was like, yeah, come on in, let's chat. And they like hung around for like an hour, and we had coffee. We just talked about all this. It was a blast. I loved it.
I love the ones who like use the megaphones. I love those.
Oh yeah.
See, I want to get. When I get a nice day, I'm going to do that. I'm going to actually sit there and say, "Hey, what can you tell me about it? Explain it to me."
No, if you guys haven't read it, you all gotta read A Manual for Creating Atheists by Peter Boghossian, because that shit is wonderful. If you ever actually want to talk to like religious people, that is like a legit great book to read. It's only like 20 pages long too, but highly recommended if you want to actually like stop and talk to street preachers or really anyone who's religious. It's a pretty good manual.
Well, how can I not trust a cat with a bow tie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember one time I had some Mormons come by. They were Mormon missionaries. I got them to come back 3 times. And my ex-wife, she was just done with me, like talking to them and whatnot. And I would talk to them for a good 30 minutes every time they came. And they were pretty persistent. And so, like, I know the point that I got really scared about these guys is I was like, I posed them this question. I was like, hey, do you think that you could have come here today, pointed a gun at my head, and pulled the trigger and felt nothing about it? He was like, yeah, I could have done that. I was like, oh, fuck. Okay, you guys can just get the fuck away right now. Bye.
Yeah, that's when somebody has that kind of response to that question, you need to not talk to them anymore.
Yeah. It was legit scary. I was like, I don't know.
I had Mormons come by my freaking when I was living in Delaware. I used to kind of have Mormons come by our house all the time, and just one day I just snapped and answered the door in my underwear. They never came back again.
So, KC, what exactly is your opinion on psychic vampires?
What the fuck is a psychic vampire?
Okay, so basically, like, just imagine you're in a McDonald's. We're focusing on McDonald's tonight, okay? Just so you know, because this is America.
Okay.
Right. All right. So,
what's wrong with like Burger King?
That's
there's nothing wrong with Burger King. What?
We're talking about fine dining establishments here.
Yes,
so
fine.
McDonald's, right? Okay, so
Fine
McDonald's
dining.
is finer dining there. Okay, cool.
Yes.
I'm with you.
Okay, so
You have to have a reservation for that place, right?
you do. You
Okay.
got to call ahead and be like, "I'm coming in. Have the fries ready."
Hey,
Oh.
McDonald's has Uber Eats. Get it right.
Okay, so you're
Okay,
in
so
McDonald's.
psychic vampires, yeah.
Yeah, you're in McDonald's, and there's a psychic vampire there. Okay, he's sitting in the corner. He's got his black eyeliner on and everything like that. He's playing weird goth music in his buds.
And he's
Okay.
got Pokemon Go on his phone.
Yeah, he's got Pokemon Go up, and he's pissed off, and he's looking
Hello,
over at.
FBI headquarters. If this is an emergency, please hang up and dial 911. Please note,
What?
this call may be recorded. If you're calling about a background check to report...
What?
Okay.
We weren't calling about a background check. I don't know who the
Psychic vampire got in on us.
Oh,
It's your phone.
No. That was the alarm to call Xander. I don't know what the
Oh.
fuck that was. Anyways,
Oh.
so you're
Psychic vampires. So are you
Psy-
talking about Morg?
Huh?
Morg.
no.
The
Morg-
eyebrowless wonder?
No, not the eyebrowless wonder. Although he might actually be one. But okay, so he's sitting there. You're in line getting you some fries. He's looking over at you, and he's like,
Okay.
he looks constipated, and all of a sudden you just feel all of your psychic energy drained, and because he siphoned it off, and you're standing there. How do you feel?
What the fuck is psychic energy?
That's a very good question, Casey.
I really don't understand
You're
this
from
story.
Pokemon.
Although I want to know what's going on in this picture right here. This like it's like a guy with a green face and his tongue is like doing. Can you put that up or no?
I don't.
No.
No,
Okay.
I can't. I can't share. Maybe I can share a screen. Can I screen share?
Be able to in here.
Okay, yeah, there we go. So present to everybody. Here we go. There's this guy. Apparently, this is what psychic vampires do to you.
I mean, if he's doing that tongue thing, I could probably get on board. What?
Are you kidding me? That won't get you anywhere right there. I mean,
it was a joke. We can move on, really.
It's just like sort of spasming.
Why don't we just move on? Like I make you move on from like Israel buttfuck.
Okay. Hashtag Israel buttfuck. Everybody in the chat right now. Israel buttfuck. Israel buttfuck God in the Bible. If you guys don't know, like there was like before he was Israel, he was wrestling with God naked in the desert. I don't know how else you're supposed to take that, but he buttfucked God in the middle of the desert. But it's like Brokeback Salt Lake Flats or something. I don't know.
Here we go with this. What is this?
Here we go with the butt fucking and Godless
I know,
engineering.
For emergencies, press 0.
No.
What the hell is going on, man?
I don't know. It's not my phone.
Someone's
posted.
you.
Yeah, I think someone is.
How does someone call a Hangout with a phone for emergency services with a recording? I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know.
The other one was for FBI background check.
That's weird.
I don't know. It's weird. I did post this on Twitter, so that's probably what's happening.
Yeah, that was your first mistake. That's how I showed up. So from there you should have known it was all downhill.
Oh, hey, Blue.
Maybe Shives will come.
I doubt that.
He couldn't see it on Twitter because he's fucking blocked everybody.
Yeah, he has. So yeah, I doubt that.
Speaking of Shives and Company,
yeah,
Mythicist Milwaukee and you guys, and Mr. Errol, and oh my God, what the hell?
Okay, so yeah, Dan Arl burned me completely this week, or tried to.
Oh God, do you have that? Read that. Read the white nationalist response that you sent to him. That shit was so funny. It's been a long month, people, with this whole conference, and
all because Carl and June and Greg are showing up.
Yes.
Keep in mind, this is all because Sargon of Akkad, Armored Skeptic, and Shoe on Head are showing up. That's what this is about, folks.
Well, so I think the biggest problem. I think the biggest problem is that people feel like they're going to be unopposed, and that they're just going to get up on stage and like start doing Nazi things, like training people to be Nazis. Is that what's going to happen? Yeah, so I think that's what they think is going to happen. That's not what's going to happen, but misinformation spreads a lot.
Even though they're not Nazis. But anyway.
They're faggots, not Nazis.
Yes, Jen. Seth also bowed out.
Okay, so here we go. Dan Arl says, we all know John Gleason prefers the echo chamber of white nationalists over skeptics. and so me not being in the mood to discuss shit, I said, Dan, oh yes, Dan, totes white nationalists. I have Playboy-like magazines all over the apartment. When I wake up in the morning, I have a white nationalist bell that goes off to remind me that I love white nationalism. I have a white nationalist flakes, the only flakes for me. I make sure that my toothpaste is always completely white because fuck that blue shit. I get my teeth bleached 4 times a week to make sure they stay white nationalist brand of white. If I express how fucking ridiculous you sound right now, if I haven't, I can make up other ridiculous shit too.
and then I followed it up with
chamber.
Yeah. Then I followed it up with something like, John, you left your white nationalist bell going off this morning, and it's really irritating.
Well, I mean, Zionism is the next step to white identity.
What is Zionism exactly?
It's an ideology where the state of Israel is supreme to all others. I love Zionism. I think it's the next step for. I heard Richard Spencer, like, he's like a white Zionist according to him, and like the white nationalists, they're analogous to the Bolsheviks. So that sounds pretty good, based in Kekistani.
Very roughly speaking, Zionism is the idea that Israel should have its own nation. Very roughly speaking.
Israel is based. Trump likes it, so it must be a great nation.
Oh, you're funny. You're funny to me.
Robert Clary in the comments said Seth called them micro YouTube celebrities, which I thought was a bit arrogant. I agree. I actually addressed Seth directly about that particular comment because while he may not like them, while a lot of people may not like them or the things that they say or do or agree with all of their positions, they're hardly micro celebrities on YouTube. I mean, Carl has 600,000 subscribers and millions of views a week. I mean, it's ridiculous for Seth to say something like that.
That's no micro celebrity. That's real celebrity.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe not like celebrity, but as far as YouTube goes, that's not half bad, and it's a lot more than Seth Andrews. So.
Well, yeah, like I don't get why they're acting like Armor June and Sargon are such marginal voices like in society in general. I mean, they together. I mean, they have millions of subscribers. Yeah. So I
think part of it is that's Seth and like Matt Dillahunty and those guys are and like Aaron Raw. They're like the old guard. Like they've been around forever on the YouTube side. So they kind of. Now you have Sargon and June and Armored Skeptic kind of encroaching in their territory because this was their territory. Look, this
Were you prank calling someone?
There we go.
Oh, okay.
No. So I don't know if somebody in the chat is trying to call someone or what, but apparently someone's trying to call in.
Well, yeah, it's been an interesting month with this whole MythCon thing, but and just so you guys know, we're having the board members of Mythicist Milwaukee on the page live stream on Monday. So if you want to come to that, we'll be talking about the conference and the controversy somewhat and what's going on and the actual information about the formats so that people can get real information, because I think that's been the hardest part is a lot of people are formulating opinions with partial information or complete misinformation. So it's been rough.
They're really trying.
They're really, oh my god.
Oh my god, Jesus, same fucking number.
Go away, troll. Go away. Hope a bus hits you.
Wow.
I thought I was doing something wrong, but it's not me. Oh, here we go.
Just let it connect and see what it connects to.
Nope. Don't.
Has anybody seen any good movies lately?
No.
I finally saw it.
We're about
Was that
to
any good?
let that guy on.
It wasn't as bad as I thought. I mean, whenever I go see remakes, I always have like low expectations.
Yeah.
I heard Pennywise was kind of a, I don't know, watered down version of Tim Curry's.
I mean,
yeah, they're apparently making these demons in the movies into homosexuals. What? And I thought it was a really good idea because they depict them as like I never thought like demon creatures who rape children would be homosexuals. Like, who would have known?
No one.
Demons, homosexuals, because homosexuals all go to hell.
Okay, I have a theory. I think Dilly is actually the one calling people and trolling because he's saying very trollish things.
Yeah,
Are we not
I'm
giving
on
you
mobile right
attention?
now, so I don't really know how to like do anything on it. It's like I don't even think I'm able to type in chat.
I don't think you're on mobile because mobile has very distinct sound, and that's not your sound.
Well, I don't know.
Ah.
So somebody has-
that's the voice of a guilty person right there.
Oh, so Aiden says he finally
That's
watched
true.
Logan last month. That was a good one, I guess. I mean, I'm not into superhero movies or what's that? The Wolfman?
Oh, God damn it.
Wolverine.
Wolverine.
Wolfman Jack. I'm Wolfman Jack. It's time for some video.
One thing I can't wait for is The Punisher to hit Netflix. That looks like a really good, really good one.
Creepers 3.
What's that one with the skeleton thing? With the 3 thing at the bottom of the skull face?
Well, he's the Punisher is the guy with all the guns that goes and he kills a bunch of mob bosses.
He's like
in
Batman, but he
Daredevil.
kills people.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a superhero thing?
It is.
Von Helton?
Oh, okay.
Did someone say Von Helton? Did someone mention Punisher to Von Helton?
Oh, Lord Blue. You have to bring up that actual idiot.
You brought it up. You said the Punisher.
Not that punishing.
So what was that show we watched? The like Star Trek show.
Oh, the Orville.
Orville. Has anybody watched Orville?
Oh, not yet.
I have not.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's pretty good. We did Amazon. You can get it for free on there to watch, and it was pretty good.
What is this dude doing?
Yeah, what is he doing?
California rape laws. Okay.
How to commit rape? Bye, Dylan. Nice knowing you.
What?
Or
I
not.
think he
You're
was trying to
getting
get
back
you
in there, Dilly.
Godless, I think he was trying to get you like demonetized or something.
Probably. I mean, that's to assume that like my shit's not already pretty much demonetized all over.
I was gonna say, hasn't the adpocalypse hit you yet?
I don't monetize anyway,
it's-
so no.
Well, the weird thing is that like it takes a while for it to hit like the podcast. I don't know if it's like there's just so much shit for us to move to sift through here.
Well, you usually
like,
go live
those-
on Facebook anyway.
Well, yeah, I usually stream the videos that I put up on Facebook, but I mean even then I only get about 30 subscribers usually.
Melanin entity. Melanian. Okay, Melanian. I hope I'm saying that right.
Okay, so let's see. There's a proposed New Mexico science standards that omits references to evolution and global warming. I can't believe that we're still having to battle this.
It will never stop.
Well, I mean, we live in a country where 35% of Americans believe that Noah's Ark was fucking real, so
we still have to battle flat Earth theory, John.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There are people that think the Earth is hollow.
Yeah, I know.
Focus,
There
John.
are people that don't believe in gravity as if it's something to be believed in.
It's density and buoyancy, don't you know?
Tide goes in, tide goes out. You can't explain that.
See, what gets me though is it's New Mexico. Like New Mexico had a libertarian governor, and they made all kinds of strides as far as that went. While Gary Johnson was the governor there, and the education system was actually very good in New Mexico while he was the governor. And then they elected a Republican, and I hate to bring up politics, but Republican just pushed it backwards. And then, of course, you've got DeVos running things over there, and now it's just gone backwards.
Jen B says, yes, gravity is fake. It's part of the Illuminati conspiracy. You know, Jen, all we really need to do in order to stay attached to the Earth is have more salt in our diet. Because salt prevents you from levitating. So, fun fact Wednesday, eat salt and you won't levitate.
I figured it would be lead.
The Earth. What?
Well, no, it's David.
I figured it'd be lead
reference.
Yeah, it's David Wolf.
Yeah, you would think that lead would actually make more sense because that would make you heavier. But I mean, nope. David Wolf's like, nope. You just got to get more salt in your diet. And you'll stick to the Earth.
And mineral salt, like from the Himalayas, is better than sea salt. In case you're wondering, it's more potent.
For the sticking to the Earth.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Right.
In case you're wondering.
Yeah.
Must deal with static.
Stupidest thing I've ever heard. Check, check, check. Check, check. Hello.
We hear
Yeah, hear you.
We can hear you.
Finally, then.
I don't know.
Why are people weird?
I don't know.
Who are these fucks?
Hell, I'd like to know who I am.
Yeah. Hi, I'm John. I don't like God, and I hail from North Alabama.
Are we having a name now?
Maybe. Who are you?
Nobody.
Oh, okay.
A micro celeb on Twitter. If anybody doesn't know, I now have like 118 followers on Twitter, so I'm basically Twitter famous.
They should verify you.
I know, they
She's
should
the AI
verify
voice
me.
from Destiny.
Wouldn't it be fucking hilarious if I submitted to get verified and got verified and you still didn't? That shit would be funny as fuck. I'm gonna do that. Let's see if it happens.
I don't think you can submit to be verified on Twitter.
What do you mean?
You have to be notable enough for them to want to verify you.
You think I'm not notable?
I didn't say.
He's a micro
Boy, you
celebrity.
sleep on the couch tonight.
Oh, to be a micro celeb.
Damn.
Yeah, cold.
All this micro celebrity drama going on right now.
Why is only son on the screen?
Micro celebrities are just really high maintenance.
They really are. I mean, it's nothing like, Seth Andrews, who's not high maintenance at all. You don't even have to worry about that guy.
No. We don't have to worry about him anymore because he's not fucking coming.
Okay, look, I really don't mind Seth Andrews, and I really don't mind people pulling out of the Myth Information Conference.
I don't either.
I really don't care, but what I don't like is how they're mischaracterizing it. And like with Seth, he actually asked Mythicist Milwaukee to remove Armored Skeptic and all them. Like he legit just straight up was like, look, issue an apology, rescind their invitation, and invite better people. Is basically what Seth Andrews said.
Yeah, with less than 2 weeks to go, when the guest list, the speaker list had been finalized since March.
Yeah.
So
I kind of agree with Seth, at least in the part where I think it's, if he doesn't like it, that he should be the one that leaves. I think that was a great call on him. Like, I don't like this, so I'm going to leave. But it was a very dickish move to ask other people to be uninvited. Like, that was hella dickish.
Yeah,
it was.
Well, especially because he wasn't initially going to be there as a speaker. He was there because of the Batman and Jesus film. So I don't know if y'all know about Batman and Jesus, but it's a Mythicist Milwaukee movie, and it's premiering that night, the night of the conference. And so Aaron, Seth, Dr. Carrier, Allie Jackson from Atheist Republic, and some others were there as guests for a panel for the movie. Because they were all part of the movie. So that's why they were there. It was completely unrelated to the rest of the conference. And that's fine. If they didn't want to go, that's fine. If it's the matter of the spreading of misinformation about dialogue not being an opportunity, and that's just not true.
Well, not only that, but it's the quick turnaround on all of that. For one thing, you had Aaron that was full gung ho about going to the conference. Like I had an interview with him where he was like excited to see this and see how it would go. He did not call it a more than likely failed experiment or anything like that. He didn't call it that at all. He was really excited to go and see how things were going to go. And then 24 hours later, or not 24 hours, but just a little while later.
It was less than a week.
It was less than a week. Less than a week later, he comes out and he's like, I'm not going. It was a total ambush. They lied to me about the fucking speakers and shit. And it's like, Aaron, no, it's fine if you want to pull out now that you've got people breathing down your neck about how it's Armored Skeptic and Chew on Head and Sargon that are in the very beginnings of the day. That's fine if you don't want to go because of them. But I mean, later on in conversation, he was talking about how apparently he was invited when they filmed his portion in the documentary, and then they didn't continuously update him on the speakers. And apparently that was incumbent upon Mythicist Milwaukee to inform him of who the speakers were. And he wasn't supposed to be the one to check to see who was going to be there and whatnot. It wasn't his job to do that. It was Mythicist Milwaukee's job to let him know.
Wait, how long ago was that?
Huh?
How long ago was that?
That he changed his mind, or that he was asked?
That he was asked.
Last year.
Yeah, he was asked at the end of last year.
It wasn't like anything, but I mean, I've been looking at that list since I found out about it, and that was on Atheist Rangers chat. Heck, when was that? I went on your chat, Atheist. When that was probably a good 3 or 4 months ago now.
Yeah.
So it's not like this has been an unknown list of people, and Armored Skeptic and June and Sargon were on that list at the same time. It's not like this has been unknown for a long period of time. The only reason he's making a stink about it now is because people like Dan and people like Christy Winters are getting involved into it.
Well, and I don't know. I mean, he's not exactly part of that crowd.
No,
so
he's not. He's not. He's just doing save face, I think.
Well, possibly. I'm not really sure. It's difficult to say, given, like John said, the quick turnaround and change of hearts. I mean, because June and Greg have been on the docket since last year, and Carl has been on since March. So, like you said, it's not a new list. The list has been final since March, with the exception of Seth. They added him and then took him off, and it's been a lot, and they all have their individual reasons for choosing to do what they do, and that's fine. The thing that bothers me is the misinformation and the character assassinations of the Mythicist Milwaukee crew, because those people are wonderful people. We know them personally. And we understand the intentions and what they're trying to do here. So that's the thing that's hard to deal with for me.
So is the mischaracterization coming straight from Seth, or is it coming from other people? Like, is it his bubble who's yelling, or is it Seth himself who's? Well,
it's from what I can tell, you have this SJW kind of force that that did convince like Aaron and Seth that it wasn't in their best interest to attend it because of how they disagree with Sargon and the rest of the panels, or the rest of the people that are supposed to be there. And so it seems to me like Seth is kind of relaying information that is coming from these other people. And
I mean, he made his final decision based off of a 12-second video clip of Carl's.
Yeah, which Atheist Ranger, I know that you were talking about. What were you talking about?
Oh no, I mean, sorry, David was asking why there's so many weirdos. I said, John made the link public. Maybe that's why a lot of weirdos are coming in.
Oh yeah, well, I think it's just the one guy that keeps trying to come in, and because it keeps doing a screen share and talking about Zionism, and I mean, the least you could do is actually vary it up so I don't think that you're the exact same fucking person.
Yeah,
I think it's Dilly.
It is.
It's Dilly with stock accounts.
Yeah,
he's kind of a dilly.
Maybe it's Jesus Saves.
Oh my God, Jesus Saves was the best. Do you all know who Jesus Saves is?
I've never heard of him.
Nope.
Okay,
No idea.
So he's a guy that came on to one of John's Flat Earth videos.
Is the Eclipse one?
Oh, it was the Eclipse one. Okay, so it was the Eclipse video. And he brought himself and a slew of Flat Earth fucks. And they just tore up that comment section, smashed that dislike like 300 or 400 times. And Jesus Saves got on there and he's like, what did he say? Sock accounts? 50 sock accounts. He disliked it with 50 sock accounts. And I'm like, seriously? You don't have anything better to do with your life than log in and out of 50 fucking YouTube accounts so you can hit a dislike button on somebody's video? Hey, keep logging into more sock accounts because every time you turn this video on and the ad plays, we get money.
That just sounds like too much damn work.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's like 2 cents, but seriously though.
I have a hard enough time keeping track of one profile.
But back to Seth and Arn. I really do respect the both of them, and I think it's fine if they want to pull out, even if Arn didn't realize like who was going to be talking and all that, and he researched and he disagreed with appearing with them. I'm fine with all that. The problem that I have really is how he's characterizing Mythos Milwaukee as ambushing him, when it just seems like he's mad because they didn't like contact him whenever like speakers changed or something like that. And then Seth on Twitter, he said that apparently a 12-second clip of Sargon made him start reconsidering his position, and it was where basically it had it was the woman coach from Glee and the mentally challenged girl that was
cheerleader.
The mentally challenged cheerleader. They were doing sort of like a PSA statement, and I don't know if you guys have seen it, but basically they said that the word retard is the exact same as other racial slurs. And so like Sargon was trying to make a point that no, that word is not as bad as, these other racial slurs. These other racial slurs have so much history and heavy-handedness behind them that it doesn't compare. Now,
that's not what he said though.
Well, no.
What he proceeded to do.
Oh man, is what it was.
That doesn't sound anything like Sargon. That sounds way too reasonable.
Exactly.
What he proceeded to do was a slew of or a string of racial slurs, and so I mean, maybe I would have approached it a little differently, or maybe a lot differently. Maybe I wouldn't have really talked about it at all. But I don't understand how somebody would make a decision based off of that.
Well, for one thing, it was a 12-second clip, and I mean, honestly, if I was given that for anything, like a 12-second clip of anything, I would want to see like the surrounding context of it. I mean, you always have Christians that are going on about the context of the Bible and all that kind of stuff.
Well, so Seth's point is you don't need context when someone says stuff like that. You don't need context.
Well, yeah, but I mean, while I would definitely not have done it the way he did, stringing together a bunch of racial slurs and ending it with the word retard. I wouldn't have done that, especially with the fact that there was a mentally challenged girl in it. And to be quite honest, in my opinion, the word has morphed into a different meaning and doesn't refer to mentally challenged people. But I get how that is still used as a derogatory term towards mentally challenged people. But to say that they're on the same level as other racial slurs or racial slurs in general, I think that's really what did Grace say the other day? A balance fallacy or a false balance.
It wasn't.
No, she said it was false equivocation at first, and then she was like, "No, it's a false balance." They're imbalanced. I mean, I get how the word is bad and shouldn't be used. Like the word retard shouldn't be used in certain contexts or by people in general. I can buy that.
Or as an insult.
Yeah, or as an insult, but to say that it's on the same level as other racial slurs is a bit ridiculous in my opinion, because racial slurs are much worse. And Sargon even pointed that out. He was like, a way to disparage, racial slurs and the connotations of them by relating it to them. So I don't know.
Because all of any kind of, like you said, context was cut out of the clip. That's all there was. But here's the deal. I don't know. With words, like, people give words power. So like, I grew up and my parents cussed a lot. So like I cuss a lot, and it doesn't mean, and like it doesn't affect me when people say cuss words. It doesn't bother me, but other people are super offended by them. And honestly, I just think that gives the words more power. But I mean, I'm not saying you should say those things. I don't say those things, but I don't know.
What do you guys think?
But words don't always have intrinsic meanings, though.
Yeah, it's hard because I feel like you have to take into account the person whose the word is actually being told to. So, I mean, for many of us, I'm assuming most of us are neurotypical adults. So for many of us, being called a retard isn't as offensive as someone who might actually be on like the autism spectrum and legit has to deal with. We
actually have two autistics in this.
Oh, we do. Okay, I wasn't sure, and I said, so maybe you guys can tell me, that because same thing with other words. Like I'm Mexican, so if I hang around with a lot of my friends and my family, we very freely call ourselves beaners and wetbacks, but the moment some random ass white dude starts throwing that at me, I get fucking pissed, right? Like it matters who and how it's said to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and there's been times that I've gotten upset over someone just casually calling someone else an autistic, and I mean, because it does take more than casual observation to call someone an autistic. It's a diagnosis is not simple. It's not.
Yeah.
And it's like it was actually over G-Man, as a matter of fact. And someone said, well, I showed my psychologist friend a couple of his videos, and he said he might be autistic. Well, you can look at G-Man and say, well, he might be a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
It's G-Man, for crying out loud. We all know how retarded that guy. But see, there I go doing the same thing. Retard doesn't bother me because I'm not retarded. I'm a very intelligent person. Intelligence
I guess it's only insulting to the listener.
Right. That's the point. Offense is taken, not given.
And here's the thing, it kind of does bother me because, again, I grew up in Delaware, and unfortunately, growing up the way I did, that's how autistics, even people with mental disabilities, were viewed where I grew up as retards. So I do get a little, I wouldn't say I get pissed, but I do get a little, like, don't fucking call me that.
Right. And my thing is nobody's ever called me that, so maybe that's why I'm not sensitive to it.
Mm-hmm. So maybe then, what Sargon did to try to compare the gravity of different slurs might not be appropriate for him to do, because he doesn't really know what the gravity of those terms are. Like, he's not the person who's going to get offended by those. So it might seem to him that being called a nigger might be worse than being called a retard, but he's neither of them, so how would he know?
Exactly.
That's a fair assessment.
Yeah, and like I said before, I would not have approached it in that way at all. I probably would have said something, along the lines of how I described it initially, being that they're not comparable. Even if you take the subjectivity of how impactful they are to somebody, I really don't think that you can compare any one of those to another. I don't know. Maybe I'm just stupid.
And I think maybe for you it might not be. But for again, for somebody who's like somebody who does maybe has to deal with that kind of stuff on a more daily basis, it's going to have more impact. And I think that's where and part of me is playing devil advocate here, but I think that's where that other side is coming from is, think about the people who actually have to hear these slurs thrown at them at a regular basis.
Right. No, I completely agree. I'm and just so everybody knows, I am a quarter Puerto Rican, so I'm only a quarter without power right now.
Come on, man.
So you're 3/4 white privileged.
I am.
You're the whitest Puerto Rican I've ever seen.
Yeah, well, I mean, I definitely have a little bit of tint to it. Like, as far as like me getting sun and whatnot, I tan really well. Like, I don't really get sunburnt
at all. It's really annoying.
Neither do I.
So I mean, like whenever I'm out in the sun a lot, like it shows through a bit more. But like my dad, he looks a little bit more. See, my grandmother on my dad's side is full board Puerto Rican, and then my dad is half, and so that makes me a quarter somehow.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
However that works.
Genetics.
Yay, genetics. But as far as Seth goes, like his whole thing, I'm fine with Seth bowing out of the conference. But it's like with him, it's one day he writes this incredibly well-written thing about how people should support what the conference is doing, and then the next day he writes a whole note. Like it was so much he had to write a note. Like nobody fucking uses notes on goddamn Facebook, but sure enough, Seth was like, I need to put this in a note. So he put it in a note, and he put it up there, and it was like, I do not support this conference now, and it's like all this other stuff.
Which is weird because he did come out for it so strong. Like when Arn dropped out, Seth said, I respect his decision, but I really support what they're doing here, and there's going to be a lot of dialogue. Like it was just a complete 180 in a matter of 2 days. So I think that was the hardest pill to swallow when it came to that, is that it was so quick, and he was saying the complete opposite things as he was saying before. So it's been and mainly it hasn't even been Arn and Seth so much. Like John said, if they want to not go, that's totally up to them, and that's not the problem. As much as it's upsetting. I'm gonna come right out and say it is disappointing as fuck, and I told both of them this directly. It's really disappointing that they won't be there, because they are two strong voices in the atheist community that belong there, that should be part of the conversation. They really should, but they're not going to be. They're choosing not to be, and that is their choice, but it's disappointing. But it is what it is. But it's the people like I don't know who was talking, who said something about the bubble around them. The bubble has been tough, man. And it's not just Seth's people; it's like the entire SJW crowd. And I know they hate that word, and I don't use that word in a derogatory sense. I use that word because that's what they use to describe themselves. I think that, I know for certain that everybody involved in Mythicist Milwaukee cares about social justice and cares about equality. I know them personally, and I know this for certain. So that's what's tough, is like, what?
Well, I was just going to say, it's funny that she brings that up, because Mythicist Milwaukee was a significant force behind the Reason rally
Yes.
which got completely shit on because of its SJW tones and whatnot that was supposed to, or that was there. And so it's really amazing to me that last June, Mrs. Milwaukee is getting shit on for being way too PC, way too SJW, whatever. And now they're getting shit on because they're not SJW enough. It just it's like at some point you got to be like, well, maybe they're just trying to be,
There's no in
skeptics.
between. There's no in between though. There really isn't. I mean, if you listen to even like someone who's not as, I guess I don't know how to explain Sargon, because Sargon can be overbearing with it.
Agreed.
But like Jeff Holiday or Wizard of Cause are good examples, because they can be crass, but by and large, Jeff's a big softie. But then Jeff Holiday explains it very well. If you look at the Geek Rooms, they did a repost of what is Kekistan, for example. Because a lot of people don't understand Kekistan at all. And so if you look at that, and they basically they're not against equality, but the problem is when people go above and beyond wanting equality and wanting to go against things like free speech and wanting special privileges because of things that other people don't have, and it becomes like, saying that other classes of people can't be racist by virtue of their skin color, for example. Things like that, just things that don't make any kind of sense. And it goes, and I think that's where they get a little bit, the water gets very muddy, and there is no middle ground for Mythicist Milwaukee, according to some of the social justice warriors, like Caitlin calls them. And she's not trying to be disrespectful, and they don't like that term because they just see it as equality.
Well, it depends on the brand of social justice warrior you want to invite. I mean, if you want to invite regressives, then it's not going to be a very good conference.
Right. I mean, you look at what happened at VidCon, and from one side, you had people sitting there. From one point of view, they were intimidating the panel, and from the other point of view, the panel was intimidating them. And that's the real outsider's view at what happened at that panel with Anita Sarkeesian and Carl Benjamin. So, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can look it up. They've both done plenty of videos on it. So.
I don't know. I don't think you can have a middle ground though if you invite Sargon and June and Armored Skeptic. Like, I honestly don't think that you can have a conference that talks about the center when you have those three people. But I just think that they're very far, I don't know, one direction. I'm not really sure which direction, but they're too far out to even have a center kind of conversation.
I think I have to disagree with that just slightly. Now, I don't make a habit of defending any of the three of these people. However, the very progressive liberal crowd that really celebrated Reason Rally loved it. Greg and June were invited to Reason Rally to speak at Reason Rally. So, I mean, this is not, the idea of having Greg and June is not a new one. And Mythicist Milwaukee is not the first group to think of doing this. So the only reason that Greg and June weren't at Reason Rally is because they don't use email. And so they didn't see the email until, 6 months later. Like, it was like maybe 4 or 5 months later, they saw the email that they were invited to speak at Reason Rally. So it's, I don't know. There are things that issues I have with everybody, but look, we don't have to all agree on the same things. We just don't, and we can sit down and have a conversation. The disappointing thing to me is that there is one side of this that is saying that you can't have reasoned discussion with these people, or that there won't be reasoned discussion because of these people, but they're the ones who won't sit down at the table. Sit down and try.
Yeah, I could understand. I understand that sentiment. I guess I should clarify. I guess, like, I saw what MythCon was trying to do. They were trying to get, you know, Aaron Ra and Seth and then June and those and et al. Over there. And I feel like they grabbed people that were on two edges of the extreme, and they should have grabbed people that were closer to each other to actually have that conversation. And like, we would love, you know, as much as we would love to have Aaron Ra, you know, have verbal fisticuffs with Sargon of Akkad, I don't think that those two people can have a conversation. I think it would have been a better idea to get people who were closer to the center, who did have, you know, opposing viewpoints.
I don't see Sargon of Akkad and Aaron Ra as that far from the center from each other.
I don't either.
I don't.
Well, then maybe I'm wrong about how
I would see if you're talking diametrically opposed. I would look at people like Anita Sarkeesian and Donald Trump. That's diametrically opposed, not Sargon and Aaron.
I think for the most part, Sargon and Aaron, it's not even so much that they disagree on so many things or disagree so significantly. I think it's how they approach conversation. I think it's how they approach what they do and how they present their message. I think that's the biggest difference.
Well, it is, but it's also like not like Aaron would have no problem, at least in conversation with Aaron. He said he would have no problem having a conversation or being around Sargon or anybody like that. And this is why I'm not exactly completely buying his reasons, but he says that, you know, the fact that the Q&A section for Armored Skeptic and all of them is going to be set up a certain way, and how the interview is not a debate and you can't record at the place, like personally record, then that means that they ambushed him and they totally misrepresented what the conference was going to be about to Aaron, and that's why he's not going. It's not that he doesn't want to confront Sargon or Armored or any of them. That's not the problem, at least what he said to me. It's the fact that he feels like the conference was represented to him, and he was tricked into going. But I still don't understand. Like, if I agree to go to a conference and like speak there, and it gets so far as to them giving me money to buy a plane ticket to get there, only to turn around and be like, "Oh, I'm not going now after you've given me money to buy a plane ticket." You know,
he did pay them back. He
did pay them back, but I mean, it got so far as to, here's money for the plane ticket. You're coming, right? I mean, it just seems like before that point, maybe you should have investigated the conference if, you know, you might have been a little too unsure or something like that. I don't know. It just seems.
So Aaron's reasoning for not really being well informed about who was at the conference and the kinds of people that they are was that he does the conference circuit. He does a conference every single month. So, and he doesn't look into all of the speakers at the conference, because here's the deal. I still don't understand. I get where I understand where Seth and Aaron say they don't want to lend their name to amplify these people's reach. But these people are already huge. So Seth Andrews isn't amplifying Carl, period. I mean, he's just not. So I understand what they're saying, but at the same time, if it doesn't matter, like, I don't understand why it matters who else is speaking at the conference. Like, I don't understand why that matters.
Well, and I don't know if this is their reasoning, but it kind of reminds me a lot about how Richard Dawkins will often say that he doesn't debate creationists to not legitimize their point. And it might be that same kind of idea. Like, Seth isn't going to show up because that would legitimize Sargon or whatever. And again, I think you're right. I don't think that Seth is going to make them, bigger celebrities than they already are. It's just if he shows up and in an opposing view, he's legitimizing their view at the same time.
But I mean, their views are already legitimized.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't think he's right
Sargon-
for it, but I'm just saying like that might be.
Well,
yeah, I understand that, and I would understand that if these were smaller people, like if these were newer or smaller people in the community, I would get that. Like I would totally understand that point. But in this case, their views are already legitimized. They're huge on social media.
And I think that goes back to a lot of what happened. Like if you look at the whole Wall Street Journal versus PewDiePie thing. Wall Street Journal actually legitimately thought they were hurting PewDiePie, and they really didn't. They really didn't hurt him that much by what they did. They might have hurt him a little bit in the short term, but in the long term, they just made him even bigger. They got him more subscribers, and they got him more revenue. He doesn't need YouTube's revenue stream. He's probably got his own Patreon stream, and he's probably making enough money. He doesn't need YouTube's revenue stream. And YouTube and Google are making, yes, they're making it hard for the little guys like Atheist Ranger and especially people like myself, because I've got 1-2 videos up. I'm not going to make it on YouTube revenue. I know that. That ship has sailed, but it's they didn't hurt him, and they thought they were doing serious damage, and they just made themselves look like jerks. And it's the major media outlets do not realize that they have failed, and people don't trust them, and people are looking to independent reporters like YouTubers to find their information about how the world works now. And Sargon happens to be one of those people.
Well, and you know what's funny? How many of you in the Hangout and in the chat, how many of you had ever even heard of Mythicist Milwaukee before the before the, as Seth termed it, the outrage brigade started in? How many of you have ever even heard of Mythicist Milwaukee?
I have.
None?
Yeah, actually, I have. I think once, yes.
Yeah.
I've never been.
I knew about it.
That's
So,
your
yeah,
question.
you're right.
I knew about it. I followed John when he went up there last year. So.
And I only heard about it from Atheist Ranger, so.
Yeah, but most people had never heard of Mythicist Milwaukee, and most people didn't know about MythCon. Like, one of our jobs in relation to the conference, because we are sponsors, if anybody didn't know, but one of our jobs in relation to the conference and in relation to all of their events, we do PR for their events. We put the information out there and get people, direct people to where they can get tickets and when it is, and kind of pump it up. But we didn't have to do that this time at all, like at all, because the Outrage Brigade did it for us. Now everybody knows about this in the community. Everybody.
Well, yeah. Plus, my plans for how I was gonna help promo it really fell through, because I had these 3 questions I was going to ask everybody, and Richard Carrier was going to be able to do it, but then he wasn't able to.
He was driving across Canada doing his book thing.
Yeah. And then I got a couple of the Mythicist Milwaukee organizers to get on cam for me. And then I got Aaron, and it was getting a lot of steam. And then Aaron drops out, and I wasn't able to get another person. So it's just kind of like it all fell through. But, I mean, the Outrage Brigade, they just totally, did a whole bunch of free PR and got the word out. Now, what I find hilarious is that all of the people that are like, I am so not going now to this particular thing.
We weren't going anyway.
Well, yeah. And there was one woman who was like, I'm not going because I don't feel safe there, because I'm going to get 600 rape threats.
Yes, she did.
God, are you serious?
She sent me a private message on Facebook. She PM'd me on Facebook to tell me that she wanted to talk to me about the conference and about why she and her friends don't feel safe. Now, full disclosure, she's a trans female. Okay, so I talked to her and I tried to explain to her that she's not unsafe. I tried to explain that there was security. Mythicist Milwaukee put out a peace pledge and asked all attendees and all of the speakers and special guests and everybody to sign it. There's going to be private security and Milwaukee police. Like, this is not going to be an unsafe event for people to be at, but she thinks she's going to get 600 rape threats in her email.
Well, that's most of that is thanks to Dan Arl. Thank you, Dan, if you happen to watch this at all.
I hate you.
because
Dan.
because I mean he's pretty much characterized the event as a neo-Nazi boot camp. He has legit said those words, a neo-Nazi boot camp, and has said that people are not safe there, and all this other stuff. So I mean, it's ridiculous.
This is what you have when you get fucking at least the regressive SJW's fucking power.
What he emailed the theater, the Pabst Theater, where the event's going to be held. He emailed them to tell them that it was a Klan rally and that there were going to be white supremacists there. He called the hotels in town. Christy Winters contacted the local media and local politicians. I mean, this has been a fucking nightmare. It's been horrible.
Well, luckily,
The question is, what are they afraid of if they're making these phone calls?
Well, they're not going. I don't know what their fucking problem is.
Well, no, that's what I don't get is that, like, if you're like my position, like that I hold, like how I'm against Sargon and most of the ideas that he has. Like, I don't feel like my position is so weak that I have to try to shut them down, and because I'm not afraid of confrontation. I'm not afraid of getting up there and asking them a tough question. I usually, like, in my interviews, I try to be polite. I don't want to run a person off. Mainly that's because I'm dealing with Christians, and they're pretty timid to begin with. And so, like, if I get a little bit aggressive, I know that that'll be heavily criticized, or they just won't want to continue to talk. And so I try to tread carefully. But like with Armored and June and Gray and Carl, I really don't think that I would have to, like, tread lightly. I mean, I think that I could ask tough questions. And that's what these people are giving up. They're giving up the ability to be there and ask the uncomfortable questions.
Yeah, make them uncomfortable. Put their feet to the fire. If you think their ideas are bad, fine. I think some of their ideas are bad. You think their ideas are bad? Go and fucking challenge them about their ideas. Like, have the conversation.
Step out of the echo chamber. Step out of your own echo chamber that you've been creating for years. And there's specific individuals that I'm talking about that block everybody. Mr. Steve Shives on Twitter blocked me.
By Shives, me too.
He blocked me because I've never tweeted at the guy. Never. I just looked and I was blocked.
Yeah, me either. I had never tweeted him either.
Never once tweeted him.
I think I got blocked and when I was only tweeting about my own flat Earth videos debunks that I was doing, and that was it. And I still got blocked.
Well, mine's just guilt by association because I follow people like Godless Engineer, and I do follow Armored Skeptic and Sargon of Akkad because I don't agree with everything Sargon of Akkad says. I don't. There's a lot he says that I don't agree with, but I like to hear because sometimes he makes a lot of sense too. So it's that's what being a skeptic is all about, hearing other people's opinions and forming your own.
Right. I completely agree. And I think I don't understand the purpose of conferences or even really conversations where you have everyone in the room that has pretty much the same opinion about everything, and all they do is circle jerk for an entire day. Like, I don't get the usefulness of something like that.
Well,
Yeah,
I got blocked by Steve for inviting him to the conference.
And I got blocked by Steve the same day because John invited him to the conference.
Yeah.
I got blocked by Steve because I commented on one of his tweets, and I guess he didn't like the comment.
I can totally see that.
You know, Christy Winters has yet to block me, and I have really, not in a mean way, gone after her. I have tried to remain, for the most part, professional towards her, because we are sponsors of the event. So we're trying to really, our firebrandiness is like, we're getting a little antsy here, because we just want to go at them, but we try not to. But she has yet to have blocked me, and I don't understand why. I don't understand why she puts up with me, because I fuck her up every single day.
Main Gun, did you have something to say, or did we interrupt you?
I don't remember. Oh, yeah, no. You were talking about, somebody was talking about echo chambers and what have you. And I just went to the American Atheist Convention last month. And I was running into a lot of that. A lot of the speakers were what I went there to hear, talking about atheism, talking about how getting, God out of the government, and that was great. That was fine. And about a 25-30% maybe of the speakers were just some far out, far left SJWE. I mean, they actually used the phrases lived experience and microaggressions, and I'm sitting here kind of going, what in the hell am I doing? What is going on here? But they get into these echo chambers and they don't want to hear nothing. And I could not tell you how many arguments with how many people I had in that weekend. It was just like unbelievable. Every person I turned to. I even had one person was talking about weeds in their yard, and I said, well, get some Roundup and shoot that down there, and that'll kill everything. Oh, I'm not supporting Monsanto. Why the hell not?
I'm sorry, what? Okay.
Yeah, and I said, why not? And they said, oh my God, we're not having this conversation.
What conversation?
They won't have a conversation. That's exactly it. They won't have a conversation. And that's the part that pisses me off.
Yeah, that's so odd. I mean, it's like, oh, we're not having this conversation. Why the fuck not? I mean, if I've got some information that I think you need to be like enlightened with or whatnot, I'm gonna be like, oh no, don't do Monsanto. They create psychopaths over there.
Yeah. Put on your tinfoil hats, folks. By the way, I want to take a second and say hi to Irish in the chat. What's up, Irish? Good to see you.
That is just fucking dumb. I mean, if I'm wrong about anything, by all means, fucking point it out. I encourage that all the time.
Yeah, I don't understand like why they are so afraid of confrontation. Like they feel like, see, I've been able to boil it down, and here's how a conversation normally goes. Okay, you espouse opinion A, they espouse opposing opinion B. If you don't immediately take up their opinion B and be like, oh, I was wrong because you told me something different, then it's just a pointless conversation and there's no rational debate to be had.
Yeah.
Like, you have to agree with them after they tell you something in order for and if you don't immediately do it, but you take it up later, then you're still burned by them because you should have known the first time.
Well, and so here's the thing, like it's a lost opportunity when they won't have a conversation. It's a lost opportunity because here's one of the things that we do in the group. I don't know if any of you belong to our Facebook group, but I let theists into the group. I let anybody into the group, really, for the most part.
As long as they don't have like, I don't know, rapture pictures on their timeline.
Yeah, I mean, if I go to their timeline and they're like woo crazy Christian, then I don't let them in because that's just ridiculous. But but I will let Theus into the group because if maybe somebody legit wants to know something, like it's an opportunity to educate somebody, or maybe plant a nugget of skepticism, or put a question in their mind that will follow with another question and another question. And then, I mean, I don't know. I feel like anytime you can have a conversation, it's an opportunity for someone to learn from you and for you to learn from them.
Unless they're ableist. We don't like them ableist.
That guy was a mess. I tried.
I'm a heretic abelievist.
I tried. I mean, I tried with him. I really wanted a conversation with Steve. I really not Steve Shives, the guy in the group. I really wanted that, but he just had to be a dick and go crazy. So I had to block him, or not block him, boot him.
Well, is there like any questions that you guys might have for me, uncomfortable or otherwise?
Yeah,
I was gonna try to wrap up the hangout. What?
I said, yeah. When are you gonna shave that neck beard?
Oh, come on, man! It's coming in good. Look at it, shit.
You're starting to get mutton chops, honey.
Look, if I cut out my wisdom now, I'm just gonna get even more dick jokey.
Okay? Oh no!
It'll just be constant dick jokes. Is if I cut this. Okay?
That's not even true. I cut that all the time, and you say the same amount of dick jokes no matter what.
Can I make a suggestion? You should do the burn sides cut and shave just the bottom chin part and leave the sideburn connected to the beard part.
No. That is a shitty suggestion, and I overrule it. Thank you for your input, though.
I am in need of a haircut and a trim, so it's gonna be soon, I guess.
Before the conference, so you don't look like a bearded monster man at the conference.
Hey, there was one time, if you look back in my older videos from a couple years ago.
Oh god, that shit was bananas.
I had fucking it looked like I was.
Don't do it. Don't look back.
That's the one you were sporting. That's the one you were sporting when you did that hangout with R and Raw. Anyway.
Yeah, it was.
In the chat, they're talking about how you gain superpowers from your beard. He doesn't.
No, that's not true. I do. I gained the super ability to.
Yeah, he's like Samson, man. He gets superpowers from his hair.
That's right. This is my wisdom. I've got gray hairs coming in. It's sad. I'm too.
I like the gray.
I'm not old enough to have gray hairs.
I like the grays. I do.
When I was a little bit younger, I could grow my beard out really long and straight, and I would always, just because I'm sarcastic, I'd always trim all the facial hair above to look Amish because I thought it was funny. especially being in Texas, the general area. I'm similar to Aaron and Matt and all them. People look at you funny.
Oh, I bet.
And I just like being sarcastic about it.
Yeah, see, I wish I could really grow it out like that much, but it really just gets like bushy. Like that's all. It doesn't actually grow straight or anything. It's just fucking bush. My face turns into a big hairy bush.
Okay.
That's why I only got a little goatee.
Okay, sorry.
So,
yeah, you just got the goatee.
Yeah.
So
yeah, well, I mean, you see it, that shit is all like fucking white now. It used to be like kind of full salt and pepper, and all the pepper fell out, and
trim your bush, John.
So in the chat, Jen B wants to know what you do for work.
Oh, what I do for work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I'm a software engineer. And I'll say that I work on helicopters.
Mm-hmm.
I work on helicopters as a software engineer.
Also, David Knight, you say I like older men in secret. I'm older than John, so.
Okay, yeah, but only by like a few months.
11.
11 months. So, I mean, it's almost a year older than me. We were born in the same year, just on opposite ends of the year.
We were.
Well, my wife's 3 years older than me.
Yeah.
Fucking cradle robber right there.
That's all the questions I see.
Hell, my last ex is 12 years older than me.
Yeah, my ex was 10 years older than me, so.
God damn.
Well, it's real funny about the job because while that flat Earth stuff was going on, like people were like, "Don't you have something better to do? Why don't you get a real job, man?" And it's like I work, 40, sometimes more than 40 hours a week. I have a real job, and I currently right now I technically own 2 houses. So I don't understand what the fuck you're talking about. Like people think that if you post YouTube videos, that is the only thing that you do. Like at all. And I get that I post like 5 times a week, and that's a little hard for me to keep up with sometimes. But I've really got it down. Huh?
You say you work on software in helicopters. Aren't there instruments in helicopters that require computation of the curvature of the Earth?
Well, yeah.
No, totally not. The Earth is flat. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, globetard.
It's a trapezoid.
Just saying. Just saying. Like, you would be in a position to know this.
You just gotta avoid that Arctic lip.
Yeah.
There's
Ben also
I
wants to
think
know
there's like instruments that need to know about the curvature of the Earth.
Well, yeah, but with all of that, like you can't sit there and tell somebody how if you plot a straight path like across the globe, that's actually a longer path than if you curve it, because you have to account for the curvature of the Earth. That's why, like planes, if you're flying over the Atlantic and let's say you're flying from the United States to like Great Britain or something like that, you don't fly in a straight line because that's going to end up being a longer route. You fly in a curved path because the fucking Earth is a goddamn sphere.
No,
come on.
Because
Isn't
the
this
world
it?
is flat, so on a flat plane, it's a straight line.
There's the Earth right there.
Oh, okay.
You mean we don't fly, we don't fly all flights along the equator?
No.
No.
When I flew to Ramstein Air Force Base in Germany, I flew over Greenland, Great Britain, and France. So from New York. So yeah, I know exactly what John's talking about there.
Yeah. Well, you see, I've had to fly to Abu Dhabi before and to Japan, all from the U.S. So, I mean, those were interesting experiences. Now, I mean, it's not like I was looking out the window at the curvature and like,
you didn't know at that time you were going to be combating flat earthers.
No, I didn't. Like, I knew flat Earth theory existed because, like, at the time I was working on another project, and like there were people in there. They were like, "Did you know that there's a flat Earth society?" I was like, "You're shitting me." And they're like, "No, go check it out. Here's the link." I went to the link, and it's like a forum, and I'm like, "You know."
I didn't realize it was an actual real thing until I went on YouTube and found a whole bunch of videos, and I was like, "Are you freaking serious?"
Bring on the news. That's what I say.
Yeah. Especially when one of the videos was 6 hours long.
Oh my
what?
God.
Oh God, I couldn't. I would die.
Yeah, there's a video that's actually 6 hours long on YouTube, and it's like, I am not sitting through that.
John, we should do that on one Saturday.
Just 6 hours.
Yeah, let's like sit down, like we'll just drink for 6 hours and watch a fucking video. That'd be fun.
There's a debunk for you.
Okay.
About a year ago or so, I found out, or maybe a year and a half. I don't know. It's been a while back since I've been online much. I found out there was a Google Plus page for it, and they run 24-hour Hangouts. Back then they did.
Yeah.
There's still a couple. I think ODD TV has a 24-hour stream.
Yeah,
yes.
and it's So much energy put into that.
You need this on the
It
channel.
regularly has like hundreds of people watching at the same time. It's kind of sad.
Do you know what? Do you know what like thousands of people watch that really fuck my world up, and I don't even understand this? Have you seen the channels or the pages on Facebook that do the live streams where these bitches open oysters? Have you guys seen
what?
They sit there and open oysters to get the pearls. There are lots of them that do it, and thousands of people watch them do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, like my page has about 131,000 likes on it or whatnot, however that means. I mean, that's being famous at Walmart basically for the wrong reasons. And you know, these people, they will have like 300 likes or whatnot and have 500 fucking people watching their feed.
More. There's always more than 1,000 people watching those oyster women. It's crazy. And it's not just one like woman. It's like a whole bunch of different ones. And they do it every single night. And they measure, so they open the oyster, they measure the pearls, they tell you what color it is, and then they put it in a shell and show it. And it's like, that's it. That's fucking it. That's all they do. And thousands of people watch this. I don't understand.
The worst ones I've found is on YouTube. They have those like videos of like spoiled little kids who get to sit there and open like these eggs worth of toys, and like that's the whole video is these kids just opening toys for like 20 minutes.
Well, yeah, no, and those are the videos that are really like profiting right now.
They have like
those
hundreds of thousands of views.
Why?
Well, because what you have, think of Xander.
Oh, he's so cute.
Well, Xander, he will just he won't comment on anything. He doesn't like anything. He has like a YouTube account, but like he's restricted, obviously. But I mean, he just goes through videos and he'll watch like one right after another, and sometimes he'll replay those videos. And so, I mean, kids are watching other kids unbox toys and play with them, and they're just continuously watching it on repeat.
That's what's wrong with society right now, man. That and Trump.
Well, and I mean, but I mean, those channels are the ones that are really profiting right now. Like up until the adpocalypse, even the weird ass Spider-Man channels were like profiting pretty big.
What the fuck is the Spider-Man channel?
Okay, so it's like Spider-Man and Elsa. And like they would do these weird fucking things where like Spider-Man would impregnate Elsa, and then Elsa would take a giant shit on a car or something.
What?
And like,
what?
Yes,
where was I doing? This isn't real.
No, it is. If you watch H3H3 has various videos on it, and it's actually it was Ethan Bradbury rebranded himself as this like Elsa and Spider-Man kind of channel, and that's who's doing it, and like they call out H3H3 in their videos and everything like that, and it's just Spider-Man and Elsa getting into wacky situations like the Hulk impregnating Elsa's sister, and then taking a shot of heroin, and
a shot of heroin. I don't think that's how heroin
recommended
works
to kids.
I don't think that's how heroin works. Like shoot up heroin. I was thinking like a shot, like drinking. Never mind.
Like a shot of tequila in heroin form.
Yeah, I'm like that's not how heroin works.
I can just see it now. They lighting it up and then putting it in the shot, and it's like that's how you do it, right?
I've never done heroin.
And a double.
When you said the Spider-Man thing, I thought there are these videos of like kids like cosplaying as like superheroes and like fight each other on playgrounds.
Would be surprised if that was popular too, Rhetoric.
It is very popular. It's also insanely popular.
I would expect that too, but if you do a YouTube search for Spider-Man, Elsa, you will get these weird fucking videos. Like there's even these weird videos that are pretty much scat videos. Like like they're claymation. And like basically you have like the kid bear goes into the bathroom and for some reason he spasms out and he shits all over the goddamn bathroom, and then the father comes in and he's like, "Why the fuck you do this, son?" And the son's like, "Oh no, I didn't mean to." And then the kid pisses himself, and it's just like and my son's sitting there watching it, and I'm like, why, son? And it's just
we had to restrict YouTube video time. We had to restrict YouTube video time on weekend mornings because this kid will legit sit and watch these fucking YouTube videos on the TV in the living room for hours. And I'm like, look, nah, man, I can't deal with this. If you want to watch this shit, go in your room.
Well,
like,
well, and I mean, we try to get him to do other things, but it's like the only other thing that he will just jump at is to go swimming. So I mean, this summer we went swimming a lot.
Yeah.
And you know, whenever I would usually try to limit him, you know, on how much he actually does the whole watching YouTube videos things and whatnot. And I would try to get him to do puzzles and all this other stuff. And he was like, nope, can I go and watch this Five Nights at Freddy music video? No, son, we're going to do something that's not that. Let's go have a walk.
Something that's not that.
Crypto says, and those videos get money. Why?
I don't know.
Because they're quote unquote family friendly, which they've actually fixed the whole Spider-Man and Elsa thing now. Apparently, they've been able to detect that kind of content. However, but I mean, like still the kid videos where they're unboxing shit and just playing with it. I mean, they make a lot of money with that.
Oh, speaking of YouTube videos, that virtual reality God game, what is that called? The Deism? The one that we were watching, the God game.
Oh,
where you're God, is it called Deism or something like that?
Something like that. I'm not exactly sure.
It's amazing. You guys need to look up this game. It's called Deism. It's funny as fuck. If you type in like God game, if you type in God game into YouTube, you'll find it. But it is super hilarious. And Xander and I sit there on the couch and laugh our asses off at this God game.
Are you like Dark Matter 2525?
Well, no, I mean, I guess kind of, but like you play God, you build like your world.
Yeah, like your hands. So all you can see on the screen of you is your hands. You have God hands, and it's a whole world, and you can, you know, you have villagers. You build plains and trees and mountains and water and desert and shit, and you build the world, and the people. They just populate and they build homes and things like that. But you have to put like enough forest so they have wood to build their homes, and you have to watch out for heretics. So, and the heretics are dressed all in red. And so there's this one video of this guy. He's so funny. It's a 25-minute video, and he's like, I gotta look. Oh, there's a heretic, and he goes and he picks up the heretic with his God hand and just chucks them into space or into the side of the mountain, and it's like splat. It is hilarious. Anyway, maybe that's just me, or maybe it's just that I like doing it with a kid. I don't know, but it's funny.
Oh, I did buy the what is that game called? I've got it right here. Fight of Gods. That's the game that got Steam banned in Malaysia. I got that, and I'm planning on playing it. So hopefully that'll be interesting content.
You're gonna live stream that on the gaming channel, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm planning on it. Well, and I've also done some stuff for Creationist Cat recently that hopefully will be premiering as soon as he gets power back in Florida.
What's that game called?
The New Testament.
Yes, that was fun.
Yeah, well, it was a lot funnier with my commentary. Just not as opposed to Creationist Cat, but you know, we were having a lot of fun with it because it was like, or every time you punch, is there an explosion? Because it's like you punch people or slap them or something, and it's like there's a tiny explosion that happens, and I don't fucking know why.
Yeah,
and then
really
just like real life.
Apparently when you hug people, huh?
Like real life.
Oh yes,
that would be handy for people like Arl for when they punch Nazis.
And Arl doesn't punch Nazis. He's a lip-wristed motherfucker.
He just wears a shirt that says "I punch Nazis."
Yeah.
You know, because if you tell people enough, they might believe you.
Yeah, but also in that game, if you hug people,
that's really fucking.
Yeah, you're fucking them, and like later on in the game, you'll have people that come up, and it's really funny because I was a woman in the gameplay, and this guy came up and he's like, you impregnated me, and now here's your son. And it's like, it says Buddha. And, and it's like, I had your son. It's like, you're a fucking man. How the fuck you have my son? Is it an ass baby?
You had like 4 kids.
Yeah.
Because John thought he was hugging people. We didn't know that when you like go and hug someone, you were actually fucking them. No wonder the Romans like ran away from you and beat your ass when you tried to hug them.
No, you hug them. If they don't want to be hugged, they're like,
yeah, they freak out. Funny.
I think I'll stick with D&D.
That's much better. It takes a lot less time to play, I'm sure, because it's like, it's got a pretty small map, but like when you run or move or anything, it's so fucking slow, and the camera is impossible to control. So I don't know. I'm really hoping Creationist Cat does something really good with that particular video. So we'll see. But yeah, I think that we're probably going to go and play some Destiny 2, and maybe, I don't know. I'll probably play. I don't know how Casey's feeling.
I don't know. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. But I really appreciate you guys joining up tonight. I don't know if there's any questions that you might didn't get to ask or anything like that. Anybody?
Where are you from?
North Alabama. I've lived here pretty much all my life. I spent 6 months in Mobile when I was like 6 or 7. That's about it. But I've lived here the rest of my life. I'll probably die here. Just to be
fucking morbid as fuck. It's okay, honey. I'll spread your ashes somewhere.
Yeah, one thing I was gonna say, you know, the daily Bible deal you're doing. Me and my sister about 30 years ago, I sat down and tried to talk her into going through the King James Bible and paraphrasing the whole thing, and we started, and it got kind of odd, put it lightly, but we didn't have YouTube stuff like that back then, or it would have been much better. But my sister still has it on, of all things, floppy disk, but it was just sort of an interesting endeavor to sort of interpret it with modern viewpoints, sort of, and you know, paraphrase it, and what you end up with has nothing to do with the God. You know, because you know it's contrary to the writing. So.
Oh no, yeah, I completely agree. I see with that particular podcast, I try to play the really ignorant atheist on that. Like, I'm not as stupid as I make myself out to be on it. I don't consistently make dick jokes just all the time, and I only talk about Israel buttfuck whenever it comes up in the podcast.
Yeah, when it's appropriate.
Right, exactly.
Unfortunately, it's almost always appropriate, as is blood dick oath. So, you know.
But yeah, in that podcast, I try to let her be the voice of reason, and I'm over here that's just like, like at the very beginning, I tried to, provide like a really horrible overview of what we're going to be talking about that is nothing like what we're going to be talking about. And so I just try to have fun with it, and it really interesting. I have small moments of clarity in it where I'm not talking about dick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. The podcast is a lot of fun for us to do. It really doesn't get many views on YouTube, which is okay, but we really enjoy doing it.
And we know that everybody that does listen to those, I mean, they usually have a pretty good time. There was a comment today was like, who's gonna watch a 1-hour video? And my comment was, well, you don't really watch it, you listen.
Yeah. Well, it's just like me. Yeah, just like me at work. I listen to all kinds of podcasts like that and everything. You know, because I mean, work can get boring sometimes. After all, it's work. But,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But sometimes when I'm listening to all kinds of different podcasts, it reminds me of conversations I've had with people over the years and I'll actually bring up scenarios with religious people little by little, sort of. So just the goal is simply to make them think, not just a little bit, just something, you know. I'm not specifically concerned about what they think, just that they think, kind of, to stimulate them. That's, you know, and of course they have no clue how firebrand an atheist can be, because their exposure is me, which is in everyday life is pretty lightweight. But
well, and I don't think there's really a problem with, you know, not being so firebrand and being more diplomatic. I mean, like in my interviews, I'm totally different than like whenever we do the daily Bible podcast
Or your response
or I'm
videos.
responding to anybody, because, you know, then I'm actually talking to somebody, and so I mean it's a totally different setting for me.
Yeah.
My job, I have to be a little bit PC because I work in a grocery store.
Well, I work in an apartment complex, and basically, when I mean, you know, when I first say anything, I just more or less say, I'm not really religious, and then I see their reaction, and you know where you can go from there.
Yeah.
When I first moved to Alabama, I worked for a government contractor, and when I first moved to Alabama, people would invite me to come to church with them all the time, and because, you know, and they were trying to be welcoming. The sentiment was appreciated, but at the same time, when you tell people down here that you're not religious, it's like their brains short out. They just don't understand how that's possible. Because I mean, there's a church every five steps. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the area of Texas I am, churches far outweigh grocery stores.
Oh, yeah, here too.
Oh yeah, it's that way at the same time. Every corner, every 5 minutes down the road, there's a church, there's a church, there's a church. There's a Winn-Dixie. Oh my gosh, there's a Publix. Then there's a church, a church, a church, a church, a church.
I live in a small town in Virginia, and I'm spitting distance from 2 churches.
Yeah.
Damn, I live in the most non-religious state in the country, which is Vermont.
Ah.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
You want to trade places for a week? Come down here and deal with these crazy fucks.
Oh, even up in Vermont, like there's a church in every, I want to say every 5 miles. There's a church up here in Vermont.
Oh, for God's sake! There's 20 churches in 5 miles here.
Yeah,
at least.
Well, the other day we were going down the road, and there was legit a Baptist church on our right and another Baptist church on our left at the same intersection.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a Starbucks at every corner right there.
I know.
Right.
And you can see 2 other churches. One's like there's an Anglican church right there, and a Church of Latter-day Saints across the road from that. Like it's unbelievable. There's a lot of Mormons here too, which is really surprising.
Jehovah's Witnesses too. I
It's
know
mostly
that I've seen the Kingdom Hall or whatnot up here, and in Decatur where I used to live. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, those 2 are kind of everywhere. It's kind of scary. They're like children of the corn. They just creep up on you.
Yeah. I live in an old house where like the garage is halfway in the backyard, kind of, and it's my welding shop, and I weld as a hobby basically, or when friends find out you weld and want something fixed, and and I saw out of the corner of my eye when I was just getting some metal work ready, a couple of Jehovah guys walking down the road. They skipped my house. Well, apparently on the way back they decided to walk down the driveway. So they do, and they get about even with my truck, and I walk out and meet them. And being in Texas and on my property, not that I'm a gun nut, but I believe in the preservation of all rights. And I'm not radical about it, but anyway, so I had a gun on my side, and they come up and they start talking, and I just point at their book and say, I'm not buying. And they say, oh no, sir, we're not selling. And they try to pull out the little pamphlets and whatever. And I say, I said, no, you're selling. I'm not buying. And then I did little feedback. And I tell the guy,
hold on. Patrick, there we go. Okay, go ahead.
And then I tell these two kids that in their early 20s or something, I said, now you can leave. And one of them looks down at my pistol and he just kind of, yes sir, turns around and walks off. It's like, the pistol has nothing to do with it, dude. It's just about our personal respect, man. I didn't even realize that I had it on me at the time. Don't think about it. But
right.
It's just, you know, you walk onto my private property to try to preach to me, I'm liable to ask you to go. And then sometimes when they come banging on my door on the weekend, I answer the door, and answer the door as backwoods as I can, like yeah, can I help you? Holding my little 22 rifle, just a little target plinker or whatever, and just can I help you? I mean, try to make it as redneck as I can.
Well, if you need a little practice on the accent, just listen to Rodney Carrington.
No, yes, I love Rodney Carrington.
Yeah.
I would totally answer the door being like, hey, why don't you put him in the cage? All right, what you want there, boy? How you doing?
How y'all doing?
But no, yeah, I had some Jehovah's Witnesses come by one time, and it was a couple women, and I pointed out how in the Bible it actually shits on women pretty hard, and so then the next time they came, they brought backup, and they brought an elder from there, an elder guy. And he was just like, all right, well, we just came by to say hi. Here's a little thing, and now we're going to go. And I'm like, oh, okay, thanks for not conversating with me.
Well, so my ex-husband, when we would have people come to our house, he grew up, his father was a Church of God, well, first Pentecostal and then Church of God pastor. And he knew the Bible. Like he's not religious, but he knew the Bible. And so people would come by and he knew the Bible better than they did. And they weren't ready. Like they just weren't ready.
That is one thing I wanted to do, and I haven't done it yet. My motorcycle's white, the little sport bike. I wanted to get, you can't explain much in a small area that people are really going to read, but I wanted to take just, chapter and verse and write down, the book chapter and verse, whatever, of some of my favorites and just put them on the bike here and there. But I got to go back to the Bible again to pick them out, which is annoying anyway.
Well, there was that guy, that atheist, who put the verse on his tailgate of the one where a woman shall remain silent, da 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 da. He just gets all that controversy over it, and he did it just to incite the controversy. And he says, people just flip him off on the road. People drive down the road and spew hate at him, and he just laughs because
Well, it's like my bumper sticker, which I don't have right now because I'm welding a new flatbed for the truck. But for years, the bumper sticker, which I've already bought a replacement, I'm just waiting to put it on. That says, "God, protect me from your followers."
Nice.
I just like really smart ass sarcastic stuff, and it makes people think huh? Yeah.
Out here on my bike, I had a sticker that said, "Don't believe in God, join the club," and it was for a humanist group that I'm part of. And I took my bike to the shop to get a new chain. So I took it to the shop to get a new chain. The mechanic refused to work on it because of that sticker. He outright refused. He's like, "No, I'm not gonna work on it. Not with that sticker on there." So the owner called me up, and she was really nice about it. And she's like, "Do you mind if we peel it off? Otherwise, it's going to be like 2 weeks before I get another mechanic in here who will actually work on it."
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
You didn't let him take it off, did you?
I did because I needed my bike.
Yeah, I work.
Fuck you.
I gotta put more on.
I mean, luckily I work on my
Nice
own.
about it.
Yeah, I mean, luckily I work on my own stuff like that, so I don't have to deal with that. Of course, I mean, you do have to take it in for inspection every year and all that stuff still. But.
So I got a question for you, John.
Okay.
What are you talking about at Mythos Milwaukee?
Well, I wish that I was speaking or doing something more than just being a sponsor, but yeah, I'm pretty much just going there to be a sponsor. We've got like a there's a table table drapes. We've got one that has the GE logo on it and it says "Stand Up, Use Your Voice," and we've got pins and the wristbands, which we still have to get you, David, your wristband and stuff.
Yeah, it came back. So like this time, David, I'll write the address on the envelope.
No. I got the explanation from the post office. For some reason, they got a new carrier, and apparently the carrier doesn't understand that in this neighborhood, the mailboxes are up by the houses. So he didn't see the mailbox at the house, so he assumed it was vacant. I don't understand that logic.
That's weird.
Yeah, well, he's an idiot because he should know better. Because this is the South, and there's all kinds of neighborhoods where the boxes are by the house and all kinds of stuff. So
yeah.
Yeah, so we'll put a couple. We've got a couple of extra things because we have pens, wristbands, and stickers. So we'll put a little bit extra in there for you for the weight.
Well, it's not your fault. You don't have to do that, but I appreciate it. Anyway, it's the idiot post office, and I am again receiving junk mail, so it'll work, I'm sure.
Oh, and so at MythCon, we're also going to be doing. We're working with the organizers now for us to do some sort of audience engagement for dialogue and things like that. So, we've got a role there, but neither of us are speaking. Although a guy on Twitter that has 5 followers said that I should speak at MythCon. That he would rather hear me speak than Seth Andrew.
Hey.
And I thought that was a good idea.
I'm kind of with that, but anyway, I'm still trying to get funds together to go. I would love to go up there and see that. I could stay. I might be able to stay with family. I do have family in Milwaukee, so.
Oh, that's cool.
That would be awesome.
I wouldn't even need a hotel, so I know hotels are probably in short supply. Although, with people bowing out, people might be vacating hotel rooms too.
Come on, it's only 2 people.
Well, I mean, they've been selling a lot more tickets.
They have been. Tickets are going like crazy. Yeah.
Sure.
So I don't know. I do know that if I were to like ever do like a solo speech or whatnot at one of these places, the organizers, the Mythos Milwaukee head guys, I gave a small sort of speech to their regular meetings about I called it "How to Birth the Savior," and basically I traverse like all of the background information on like everything about the birth of Jesus and how it actually relates to like history and like where all that stuff most likely came from. So like for instance, you know how in a couple of the Gospels it says that he was visited by the 3 wise men or whatnot. Well, that's actually a tradition in the Mediterranean around that time, is that if a prince is born or a new king is born or something like that, then generally like wise men or I can't remember what else they were called.
Magi's. You're welcome.
Thanks. They would come and visit like the king, and so it's kind of like, well, if he's the king of the Jews, then he would be visited by these kind of people, and so it all like the entire talk I felt was pretty good, and they said that if I polished it up, that I could potentially present that. But KC actually said that I would probably do better on a panel.
Yeah.
And I think that I probably would, considering people would be talking and then I'd just throw out a dick joke.
No.
And no,
not at a conference. You can't be throwing out dick jokes at conferences, John. That's why people don't ask you to come. So I think he would do really good, especially if there was like a skepticism conference that had a social media kind of panel with YouTubers. I think he would do great on something like that.
Oh, you mean like the one that's happening at this one?
Yeah, kind of like that one. And I don't understand. I don't understand why there's only 2 people on it. It would make sense if there were more, but you know, I think it's. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I really appreciate everybody joining me tonight. I really didn't have too high of expectations, but I had a lot of fun. And if you guys are interested in it, I plan on doing this about once a month. And I hope that you guys can make it next time.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well,
don't everybody talk at once.
Yeah, don't everybody talk at once. Well, I hope you guys have a. Huh?
Does it count me in?
Well, I hope you guys
cool.
have a wonderful night. Huh?
That sounds cool.
All right, awesome. Well, like you said, I hope you guys have a wonderful night, and I guess I'll see you guys next time.
Don't forget, stand up and use your voice, y'all. Don't be like, we won't use names. Don't be like certain people who won't use their voice. Let's use our voices.
All right.
See you guys later.
Bye.
Later.
See ya.